Financial experts have their eyes on Texas a little bit more than normal this week. The New York Stock Exchange announced plans to launch an exchange in the Lone Star State. It will be in Dallas, pending regulatory approval, of course. Joining us now to talk much more about how this could impact our state's economy is UT Finance and Economics professor Michael Sury. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we know that the Texas economy is a powerhouse. The GDP is larger than many countries, including Canada and Russia. But what does the New York Stock Exchange moving an exchange to Texas really say about our economy here?
Well, first off, the NYSE setting up shop in Texas is really good news for us. I think it points to our region's rising prominence as a financial hub and Texas' reputation as a pro-business environment. In fact, our state already hosts the largest number of NYSE-listed companies with over $3.5 trillion in stock market value. For investors, it also highlights confidence in our state's economic strength and our appeal as an alternative to the traditional money centers like Chicago or New York.
Yeah, that's really interesting. One of the things you talked about, how many companies are already here. What do you think then will be the impact on our economy? We're talking about jobs and even more businesses potentially moving to Texas if this happens.
Well, NYSE Texas should further boost the financial sector in Dallas and solidify its status as a global financial hub. So I think this could lead to more corporate relocations, more jobs, and continued economic growth, not just in the Dallas area, but in the region as a whole.
Yeah. So obviously it sounds really good for Texas, really good for Dallas. But what does this mean about Chicago? What does this move have to say about the economy there?
Well, I used to live in Chicago, so I know something about that. But moving the exchange to Dallas does, I think, hint at the challenges facing both Chicago and New York, including higher operating costs and regulatory hurdles. Here in Texas, of course, we have lower taxes and we have policies that are much more business-friendly and pro-growth.
I want to ask you, there was a stock exchange that was announced last year, right? The Texas Stock Exchange, also said to be headquartered in Dallas. So how would that work with the competition between the two?
Competition can be a good thing. So yes, it does offer some of that competition with the upcoming Texas Stock Exchange, which is going to launch sometime next year. That exchange is aiming to provide a more cost-efficient listing platform. So while the NYSE brings a long history of experience over some 200 years, the Texas Stock Exchange is positioning itself as a disruptor with a more streamlined IPO process and more stringent listing requirements. All of that, I think, should benefit both companies and investors overall, as there'll be more listing options, and this may lead to more financial innovation. But of course, it could also lead to some fragmenting of liquidity between the exchanges. On the whole, however, this is certainly positive news for our home team.
Have you seen other states launch their own stock exchanges similar to what Texas wants to do with its own?
Not in this manner. I think we are really seeing a lot of innovation, and that is just, par for the course for Texas.
Yeah, Texas certainly likes to think that we are leading the way. UT Economics professor Michael Sury, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.